Hi, welcome to the Bari Nation podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April.
And I'm Jason.
And today, if you are watching this podcast, you will see two of our most favorite humans on the planet are joining us, Miss Maddie and Mr. Rodolfo. Hi, friends.
Hello.
Hi. We recently met Rodolfo. I've actually been working with him one-on-one. He's kind of like my wellness guru coach. He's helping me discover things that I never even knew. And friends, I have been in therapy for 20 years, and Rodolfo is giving me things that are brand new. So he is a mindset magician, and you guys know how amazing and magical Maddie is. If you were just at the Renew 2022 event, she made me cry, and I don't have tear ducts, so I don't know how she did that, but she did. So thank you for that work, friends. We're so excited to invite you both to the podcast today because our theme for the month of February is self-love. This is a very hard topic for many of us because either we have never loved ourselves or we are working hard to get there, but it's been a struggle. Maddie, you are so open with your journey to self-love. Rodolfo, you have been the same in our community, and we're learning more and more about your own journey to acceptance and self-love. So we really couldn't think of two better people to kind of help us kick us off this month. But before we get into the conversation, we always love to give our guests the floor. Will you just tell us a little bit about you for people that don't know who you are, kind of what makes you you? And Maddie, we'll start with you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. And it was so good to see all of you guys in person and meet you, Rodolfo. And I start working with Rodolfo tomorrow. So I'm so excited too. I know my life's about to change. I know that.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So my name's Maddie. I had bariatric surgery, Roux-en-Y, 4.5 years ago in June of 2017. I've lost and maintained about 165, 170 pounds, somewhere around there. I haven't weighed myself in a long time because honestly, the numbers are super insignificant to me. It's more about a feeling. And honestly, it was always about the numbers until I did find that self-love and self-acceptance. And if you would have told me that I would be saying that I loved myself fully and accepted everything about my body, I would have told you that you were crazy. So I really openly share my story on Instagram and on my blog and with this entire community. It is what makes my heart beat and what makes me get up every single day. Yeah, that is me in a nutshell.
You truly are one of those magical human beings where you just have the ability to connect with people. But what inspires Jason and I, and sorry, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jason, but I know you would say the same thing. Your realness and your rawness about your journey is what allows people to not feel like they're an outsider, right? It allows them to say, oh, well, Maddie got through this, or Maddie's body looks like this, or Maddie's doing this. And it's just so comforting to know. And I know, Jason, even from your male perspective, you have gained a lot of insight from Maddie.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about the way it's not just about the things she says or does when she comes on or does her lives or has her stories and things. It's about the authenticity behind it. It's the thought behind it, that she's just one of the most genuine people that I have ever met in my life. She's just a person that's never met a stranger. Anybody that that encounters her always comes away saying the same thing. They felt seen, they felt heard, they felt, she adores people, and she's very adorable to me. She is a very important person that I love dearly from the day that I met her until now. Every time I see her, I feel deeper and deeper for how amazing of a person she is.
Thank you guys so much. I feel the exact same way about you guys.
We family. We're going to build a bariatric compound, and we're all going to live there together. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Shaving my head and everything. We're going deep.
So the newest member of the Bari Nation family is Rodolfo. Rodolfo, introduce yourself to our friends and followers.
Yeah, so first of all, I would say thank you for having me here. It was very nice to meet you the last weekend in Ohio. I came from Chile. Now I'm in the States. I'm still here, so maybe we could do more activities. Who knows? And I'm a wellness coach. And what I do is support people to remove mental and emotional blockages and to improve their well-being. That's my focus. I support people to add healthy eating habits, to enjoy more of their sex life, to manage their anxiety. So I work one-on-one and I work with organizations too. And I'm glad because now I'm teaching classes at Very Nation. That's what I do. And I love this project because me, myself, I know what is to struggle with my weight, right? So since I was a kid, I always I went on diets. I lost weight, then I gained weight, lost weight, and I was living this life. And that was related to different issues. Okay, so I was having issues with my family. My parents were getting divorced. I was having issues with my sexuality. I'm gay. So in my culture, in my country, at that point, I think that it was very hard to come out and to accept myself. And then I discovered that if I was self-demandant, like if I demand so much about me, I thought that I was going to be loved. So I studied engineering. That was a career that I didn't like, right? And I was always like going for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I think that today, finally, I feel in a state of balance. I have learned to love myself. And part of my journey has been related to that. And part of the tools that I give to people are related to mindfulness and different techniques that I think that work to love ourselves.
And this
That's
is why
a little about my story. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And what I know when I was first introduced to you from Danielle said, have you followed Rodolfo? Has he come into your orbit yet? And you followed us on Bari Nation. And I was like, that's so funny. He just followed me and I hadn't heard anything about him. I went and checked him out and really interesting. And literally Danielle every day called me and was like, have you scheduled an appointment with Rodolfo? Have you called him? Have you called him? And I was like, oh my God, girl, what is the deal? Now I understand why. Because your insights and your ability to really help us connect the dots is so powerful, and you do it very efficiently, and you don't let us get away with anything. Like you're very much like, yeah, no, bullshit. You're faking me. You're faking yourself. Like, no, let's just get there. But I think what is also so powerful for you and the help that and how you're supporting our communities, that even though you haven't had bariatric surgery, you understand the role that weight has played in your life. And you have overcome that, right? You have come to realize what your happy, healthy weight is and found that self-love and that self-acceptance. And you really do have tools that you can pass on to us that we need to live that way forever. So, all right, friends. Well, without further ado, should we just dive in?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so you guys know we start every podcast episode where we're talking about these things that kind of have a definition, because I'm a teacher and I'm just born to do this. We got to speak the same language, so to speak, right? So our working definition of self-love is regard for one's own well-being and happiness. Regard for one's own well-being and happiness. Jason, I want to start with you. In your past life before bariatric surgery, did you practice self-love, or did you ever get to the point where you loved yourself?
I would say no. Looking back, thinking back on it, I would be happy with aspects of myself and my life and my, I always tried to be a happier person to kind of mask the misery that I felt inside, or the pain that I was feeling in my joints from being so heavy, or the fact that I never could sleep well because I was so big. Just there was lots of reasons and things that I felt like I had to kind of overdo it in my daily life to make it seem like I was happier than I really was. But as far as actually loving myself, no, I was pretty upset with myself, and I would almost venture to really say I was disgusted with myself on a lot of levels, just because of all the things that I wasn't able to do. Just as the time went on and went by, I just got to a point where I really couldn't even look at myself, honestly, without just kind of being angry and disgusted.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that, looking at pictures of ourselves and just like not even looking at it, looking in the corners because we don't recognize, we don't want to see. And I definitely align with you. I would get to the place in my life where I was like, oh, I got this goal and I'm going to work really hard to get to that goal. And then I'll be happier. Then I'll love myself. But there was always another goal, right? I never felt just acceptance or self-love.
That's where the arrival fallacy comes into play.
Oh, one of my favorite words in terms of all time. Ain't that the truth? Look at you. You've been listening to the podcast.
I learned a few things sitting here in 80 some odd episodes.
I love it. Maddie, my friend, what about you? Self-love before bariatric surgery?
I was always in such a constant state of imbalance. So I was always doing a crazy fad diet, losing 100 pounds. And then I loved that aspect of my life. And then I chased, I thought I'm really smart, so I'm going to be a nurse. And because I have, my weight figured out. And then I would put all my time or effort into being a nurse, but then my weight crept back up and I got my nursing degree, but then my weight was really high. And then, so I never fully loved myself because I never fully thought that I had arrived at everything. And then there was even a state after bariatric surgery when I was at my lowest weight where I thought I can't fully love myself because I'm not married and I don't have children. And so my life is not complete. And that's kind of when I arrived at, 2.5 years ago, when I arrived at I need to accept my body. I'm probably jumping ahead, but no, I did not love myself fully. Self-love was never there because I was never in a state of balance. It was always all or nothing in one area of my life.
And that is a word that I had been missing in my own thinking about self-love and acceptance, balance. Oh, I need to write this down. Okay. Holy crap. Rodolfo, my friend, what about you? Self-love ever in your life?
I think that in the past, no, I didn't. And I think it was because I was confused. Okay. And what do I mean with this? I was trying to provide love to myself, but with ways that were not effective. When I was a kid, I learned that I was going to get love if I did the things that the others wanted me to do. Then I learned that I was going to receive love if I succeed. So I was confused. And I think that self-love is related to taking care of ourselves and our needs. And sometimes we have these confusions. So I think that I need to do things, and then I'm going to be loved. Or maybe I have to say yes all the time, and after that, I'm going to be loved. So I think that during my life, I've been in the process of understanding, first of all, what is self-love. And today, I can say that I have a better comprehension of that. And in the last years, the last 5 years, 4 years, I've been loving myself more. That's what I could say.
Well, and it's so interesting, but you are so right. Before surgery, and I think for many people in their lives, they functioned with an if-then equation. If I do this, then I will be loved. If I do this, then I will be happy, which is that arrival fallacy, right? And we're constantly climbing the ladder that never ends. And we never get to that sense of being happy or feeling that acceptance or that sigh of oh, that is so powerful. So I think Rodolfo and Maddie, you are both at a place where you can pretty definitively say I'm at a really good self-love place, or maybe not self-love, but acceptance. And this word keeps coming up in our conversations with self-love. So as a comparison to self-love, self-acceptance definition is the act or state of accepting oneself, the act or state of understanding and recognizing one's own ability and limitations. That limitation part is so powerful because basically what it's saying is that I can accept myself, I can love myself, and also acknowledge that I have some limitations. Limitations isn't a bad thing, right? Limitations is just saying that's not me and that's okay, right?
Right.
So Rodolfo, will you explain to us a little bit these differences or these similarities and how we can use acceptance to get to self-love?
Yes, I think that this is a really interesting conversation because it's very philosophical. It's associated with meanings. Okay, so for example, we have to explain first what's love, and I think that we all have different interpretations. For some people, love is like caring. For others, love is being accepted. For others, love is like succeed, you know? So first of all, I think that we need to start from that point. And I think that acceptation or being accepted or accepting ourselves is linked to not judging us. Because when you said or you talked about limitations, April, what I was thinking is that a limitation is based on a specific standard that I defined. So that is a definition too, you know? So maybe self-acceptation is related to knowing that we are going to judge, but that is not a reality, and it's okay. That's for me, okay? That's for me. And I think that self-love is related with self-acceptance, but self-acceptance is just one part, and self-care is a part of self-love too.
It's when we really started going down the rabbit hole of, we started in January with self-care and then we're moving into self-love. And very quickly we were like, oh my gosh, this is all so intertwined, but it's like you need one to build on the other, but you really do need to understand, you know, what is my working definition of love and why is it so difficult for me to clearly define love in my life and practice it with other people, but not with myself? Why is it so easy for me to go, no, I know what love is, but I can't love myself. I can see this here, but I can't. Like, what is that? Maddie, do you know why? Why was it so difficult for you to love others, but not yourself?
I think one of the biggest things too is people are going to see you for what you are, no matter what. So I had to realize, like, I almost always wanted to like put on this mask of something that I wanted to be. And it was like, people are going to eventually see past the mask and know exactly who I am. So why don't I just be myself? And once I realized that I am like a good person and I just have like the desire to help people and really, but that was also working through a process of like accepting myself. And I always go back to like my body because that was like the biggest thing. And that's a really big thing in our community as well. And seeing each body part for what it is. Like I look at my stomach and I'm like, instead of saying like, look at all those stretch marks, I'm like, this is a belly. Like this is a normal belly with normal stretch marks, naming it for what it is and moving on. And this is my arm. This is an arm and it has excess skin. And if it bothers me that much, then I can get it corrected. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to name it for what it is and I'm going to move on. And like, I have wrinkles on my forehead. I don't want to name those for what it is. I get Botox. Like, so you have to make a decision about things that you are unhappy with. And that was kind of like the angle that I choose with self-acceptance. Self-love, I feel like, is a little bit more difficult because it is, I feel like self-acceptance is what I arrived at that has been more of a deeper, very gratifying thing for me. Like I have just learned to accept myself for who I am and really done a lot of work on myself. And this was back in like 2018 to 2019, I was in a relationship with someone who was working like 90 hours a week. And I was like, I'm going to do all this work on myself while he's busy working and, you know, do all of these things. And I was like extremely in love with him and I'm going to do all these work on myself. And you know what? That is the best relationship that I ever had because I got to do all this work on myself and I got to like really dig deep into myself. And, like I fell in love with myself that year too. And sometimes the greatest things come from like the biggest heartbreak.
And what we were kind of talking about earlier before we hit record is like, you know, self-acceptance is maybe like the first step. And then self-love really grows from that. But self-love is progressive, right? But it's kind of like what you said, acceptance is like, it's a place where we get to. And then once we've learned to just accept it, and what you said is so powerful, right? Instead of, and Rodolfo, you were kind of saying this, instead of saying, oh, my arms and assigning judgment to it, acceptance is just saying, these are my arms, right? Like they're arms.
Yes.
Right? And just leaving it there and just accepting that this is where we're at in the moment. Self-love, learning to love our arms, that's a different conversation. But just acknowledge. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I had talked about, like even this weekend, looking at all the things that my arms do. They give people, you know, big, huge bear hugs. And they really, you know, that's kind of the next step that I've most recently taken is, you know, they do all of these wonderful things for so many people. They warm so many hearts when I give them, you know, because that's kind of been the next progressive step into like self-love. If I'm connecting the definitions, if I'm using them correctly. Well, I guess I didn't realize that that's what I was doing.
Oh, well, I mean, clearly I'm not an expert on this. I did stay at a Holiday Inn. Actually, I stayed at the Hancock in Ohio, and it's my.
I stayed at the Holiday Inn.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, right. But what I'm seeing is your progression from, okay, these are my arms. It is what it is. I can either do something about it or I can't, but I'm just acknowledging this. But for you to get to the place and go, oh, but I appreciate my arms, or look at what my arms can do. My arms hug people. I'm known for my hugs, right? My arms can do all of these things that bring myself joy and others joy. That to me that's the love part, right?
Right. Related to appreciation, embracing your arms.
Oh.
Yes, it's like the next level. First, you don't judge, you just accept that they are neutral. And after, what you do is start like embracing them and seeing the value in them.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Jason, I'm a little bit curious. I'm not gonna out you with anything, but is there something like what in your life after bariatric surgery have you gone through this progression? Like, okay, I wasn't happy, I've accepted it, and now I'm moving into self-love. Is there something that you can identify that you're kind of going through those stages in?
Mine is just my body as a whole. Like I've never, like from being somebody who was, I grew up and out my whole life. So even from the time I was young, I would be big, and then I would grow skinny and tall, and then I would be big, and then I would be skinny and tall. So I went from being, you know, probably, I was like 5'5" and really chunky. And then over the course of the summer, by the time the summer was over, I was 5'11" and weighed like 175 pounds. Like I was stick skinny. I was, you know, little bitty. And then as I started to kind of fill out, even when I was skinnier and smaller, like when I got married to Sarah, I was 6'4" and weighed 225 pounds, but I still had a belly, a little bit of a belly. Like if I was as big now as I was then, I'd be killing it. But you know, at the time, I still only saw, I was like, oh, well, I still got a belly. Like, I'm not like rocked up abs and all that stuff. Like, I still wasn't happy with what I saw. And so now I'm getting to a point where, you know, going to the gym, doing a thing, seeing the changes in my body, I'm excited for the additions to my body that weren't there before, because I'm always just kind of a naturally muscular person, not really defined wise, but I'm country thick, as they would say. I'm born in Oklahoma. I'm a tractor tackler. Like I'm just a big dude. I'm country thick. If you know, you know, like people in the South and the Midwest, they just know.
Sorry, what you are
tractor tackler. That's what they call it. Just tractor tackling, like cow tipping. Like I'm just a big dude. But
wow. Okay.
But it's just, you know, now to a point where I have gotten that I can do workouts that I haven't been able to do before, and I'm putting all of this mass that I have to work in a positive way so that I can change what I don't like about myself. So that's the movement towards getting where I want to be. And, you know, we talked about limitations earlier. A lot of those limitations are permanent, but we don't see them that way to begin with. We see the limitation part and go, oh, well, you know, that's my stopping point. I can't do any more than that. It's really just, I mean, it's a wall, but it's a soft wall. It's, you know, it doesn't have, it's not always a concrete wall. It may be a little softer that you can get through, but you have to be determined to get where you want to get to push through that wall. And you'll see that, you know, those limitations that you automatically thought were something that there was no way you were going to get past become a thing of the past, and you just move forward and you keep pushing, and you'll be able to step over the next limitation a lot easier than you could before.
So you're telling me that we have limiting beliefs that can keep us stuck in an order. I know, Rodolfo. I know. I can sense your aura. I know.
He's like, oh, I feel it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is his jam. All right, Rodolfo.
Yes, no. I was just listening and thinking about self-love and how we can give a purpose to our lives, right? And with that, we can start self-loving ourselves. And I was remembering about the weekend and how Maddie shared her story and how today he can stand up in front of an audience and share that. And maybe in the past, she wasn't accepting herself, but today she can say that her story turned her into a diamond and she can share all the lessons and all her strength with others and being inspiration. So this body, for example, or I don't know, like my behaviors that maybe in the past I thought that were terrible, today are a tool that I can share with some people and I give a purpose. And I think that is self-love, you know, is related with being very comprehensive with ourselves and learning how to shift those beliefs. Maybe now I'm able to do some workouts that in the past I wasn't, for example, right? And today I can inspire others. And that has and will have an impact, and it has benefits. So I think that self-love is very related with our beliefs and with our emotions too. You know, if we have a positive self-talk, we're loving ourselves. If we have a negative self-talk and we are judging, we're not loving ourselves.
We're limiting
so
ourselves.
I think, right. So I think that everything is related to how we are in, how are we making interpretations about us?
Well,
that's what I was thinking.
Oh my God!
I don't know if you understood.
Oh yeah, no, I mean literally, I feel like I'm in a session with you now because I've got a whole page of notes now.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you said something so profound, right? If we don't have a purpose in life, it's very difficult to progress towards that self-love because we just don't know what we're here for, right? We don't know what are we working towards? And for us to love ourselves, we have to really be in connection with what our purpose is. And it's not that our purpose is going to be set for the rest of our lives. What is our purpose for the time being, right? What is bringing me joy? What am I drawn to? But once we identify that purpose, we can accept, right, those, look at this, our abilities and our limitations, and we can stop judging because it's like, oh, well, I can use my purpose now to say, oh, that aligns to me or that doesn't align to me. That's very
I can use my flaws. I can use my flaws as a tool to reach my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. That's the point. So for example,
speaking of the limitation part, I think back, I always think back to the picture that's so profound to me is the horse they tied to the plastic chair that says sometimes the constraints that hold you back are only in your mind. Because the horse could walk off and drag that plastic chair behind him, but because he saw himself get tied to the chair, he's like, oh, I'm tied up, I can't move. So when you think about that in that same aspect, it's like, you know, you're holding yourself back from things that may not even be a limitation because you're just like, oh, I've accepted it, that's what it is, and there's just no way I can do that.
Do you see how it's a philosophical conversation? I told you. I told you guys. It's all about meanings. It's all about meanings. That's the point. That's the point. And I think that we have flaws. We all have virtues and flaws, right? But if we use those flaws as a tool, then they are a gift. And we can embrace who we are.
Absolutely.
And I think that's it. Like maybe there are things today that I don't like about myself. For example, my body, I don't know, or maybe my sexual orientation. And these are just examples because are examples that are close to us, I think, are real for us. But I think that all the people that are listening this podcast, they have flaws too, or things that they don't like about themselves. So the question that I would like to ask them is, how are you going to use those flaws as a tool to reach or achieve those results that you want to get?
Okay, Maddie, I know you have experience with this. I want you to explain how you have used your flaws as a tool. And then Rodolfo, I want you to tell our audience how you have used your flaws as a tool. Go for it, Maddie.
how I've used my flaws as a tool to help other people.
Well,
Oh
and
my
to help
goodness.
you, well, but not necessarily, your purpose is to help other people. You've clearly identified that. But you went through a process. You started off with, I don't love myself at all, to, oh, I'm recognizing these things. And you've gotten to a place where you really do love and accept yourself.
Yes. And one of the biggest things I was sitting here thinking too is this takes time. Like, I'm almost 5 years post-op, and this has been the longest journey of them all. And this takes time, and it takes some work to really like come to this. And I'm 20 pounds heavier than my lowest weight. And I feel the happiest and the most love for myself right now. And it has nothing to do with social media or anything like that. It just has to do with the love that I feel for myself, because I'm so comfortable in my own skin. And just because I feel that my worth is not at all tied to the way that my body looks, or it just feels good. I feel happy. I can do all the things that I could do at my lowest weight, and I'm eating, just a normal, like that of a normal human, with not stuffing myself full and not restricting myself.
Yeah.
I'm really actually just living a normal life, which I've never been able to do in my entire life.
I was going to say, that's like every bariatric person's
Yes,
goal, right?
just to live a normal life.
Yeah.
And to just be that size of just kind of a normal human. I mean, honestly, no, I'm overweight. Like, I'm a solid 28, 29 BMI. Like, I'm a solid, dense human.
Well, you are exactly where you need to be. That's all I'm
Yes,
going to say
and
about
like
that.
that's why I don't want to weigh. Like, that's why I don't need to weigh myself. Like, I feel great. So
how did you get there though? Because I think that's what people want to know. What was the steps that you took to go from flaws, I don't accept, I don't love myself, to where you are today?
the biggest thing was when I was at my lowest weight, after bariatric surgery, I honestly started having a ton of anxiety, and I started thinking, how am I going to maintain this? How am I going to maintain this? How am I going to maintain this? I'm in this all or nothing mindset. I'm restricting, I'm running. I'm eating 800 calories a day. Like, I'm not doing any of that. And I thought, I've got to change this. Like, I cannot do this. I cannot keep up with this. So I literally was like, I need to just change the way that I view what I'm eating. And I need to like just back off of running a little bit and find balance in my life. I need to just, in the way that I view all of this, like, I need to just get out of this all or nothing mindset and stay off of the scale. That was how I did this from a numbers standpoint. I need to not focus on the numbers. And then I honestly started looking at myself in the mirror every day and looking at every single thing that society would say is an imperfection, or that I thought was an imperfection, like my arms, and really thinking of like all of the people that they have hugged and all of the hearts that I warm with the hugs that I give. And I started to look at my stomach, and my surgical scar is a big one. I mean, that is the scar that seriously gave me this whole new life. And I did say this on Saturday, like, I look at my stomach and that skin, it does not interfere with, my daily life. If it did, I would maybe consider plastics, but it doesn't. And I look at every stretch mark, and I just remember, I look at that stomach, and I think of all the belly laughs that I've had with all of you this weekend, and all the people that I make laugh. And God willing, there'll be a baby in there someday. And, I look at my legs, and I think of the races that I'm going to run and the people that I have helped serving them. And so I just changed the way that I looked at my body. It's a body, and it serves its purpose well.
Well, and it's not even the way that you looked at your body. It's what you told yourself when you looked at your body, right?
And I honestly, too, think of all of the things that I used to put my body through. And I really thought, I need to be kind to this body. I need to not be focused on numbers. And I need to be kind and love this body, because you only have one body, and it's going to serve me for the rest of my life. So I'm going to be kind to it. I'm going to treat it right. And if If it wants some chips and some bread, it's going to have a serving of chips and bread in a safe manner, in a controlled manner.
Well, it goes back to the going from unbalanced to balanced, right? To confused to not confused, right? Having parameters, having guidelines, having, right?
Yeah.
Rodolfo, what about you? You've been through this journey, right? Start to finish. So how did you go from confused and unbalanced to where you are today?
I was thinking an example because I think that I could explore or share with you different aspects of my life. Okay, but I wanted to share what happened to me in terms of my relationships. So I was used to have codependent relationships. I think that I learned since I was a kid to be the helper. Okay. And given that I was always available for others, I never listened to my body. I was just like satisfying others' needs, you know? And I think that at some point I made a change in my perception. Okay. And I understood and I embraced who I was. And I knew that I liked to connect with others or connect to others. And I knew that I liked to be with people. And I asked myself, like, how can I use that as a way to meet my purpose? And this is where I am. So that's why I'm a coach. And that's why I support people, you see? So what at the beginning was me being dependent from others or someone that created relationships of codependency, you know? After that, I knew that I had some gifts related to that issue, right? So I was a good listener. I was able to help. I had a great time supporting others. So I connected with myself and I connected with my purpose, and I knew that I wanted to support people, right? And today I'm a coach. So meaning that I knew my flaws, and then I made a transition, changing my mind to use this as a tool to be happy. And of course, I learned to set boundaries and everything. And I loved what Maddie said, because she made a change in her perception too, on her mindset, right? So everything is about mindset. Like you have these aha moments or these like discovery moments where you say like, this is not good. This is not how I want to live.
And I swear it comes in every bariatric patient's life, because all of a sudden, you know that part in our journey, and Rodolfo, you know this too, right? You get to this part in your journey, you've been working so hard, and then you realize, oh my God, this feels exactly how it used to. And
right,
all of a sudden you have this realization of, oh my God, nothing has changed. Even though I've physically changed and I've been doing all this work and I know that things have changed, why am I still feeling the way that I did before? That is your light bulb moment that, oh, I need to do something very different. And if I keep thinking the same way that I was thinking before surgery, after surgery, my life is not going to be the same.
That happened to me with the diets, actually. I started doing a diet. I don't know if it's Atkins or something like that, but I had a lot of like fat. Okay, that was my first diet, and I lost a lot of weight. Okay, and after that I gained weight because, of course, like I didn't make an emotional work or I didn't change my mindset. And after that, I discovered that I could run, and I ran like for hours to lose weight, and then I lost weight again. Right, but then I gained the weight. So it was this process of like being oscillating in my way until I realized that I was covering my emotions, and that was the issue. And if I wasn't able to manage that, then the problem was going to persist.
And it's so frustrating because we all have been there where it's like, but I've done so much, but yet it's not. And I truly do believe, I think all of us would agree, that missing piece for us is that self-acceptance and that self-love, right?
Well, and it's scary. It's scary because of how fast your mind can snap back to those times, and how quick, if you're not watching it, like it just creeps in, and it doesn't, it doesn't take it forever to get up the stairs. Like it slides in and you're just like, oh shit, what are you doing here? He's just in there. And it's like, hey, what's up? Like, I live here now. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, we evicted you a while back. Like, you got to go. Like they're unpacking and putting shit in the drawers, and you're like, nope, you can't stay here. But yeah, I mean, it happened, and that was probably one of the things that startled me the most, is being almost 2 years out and just not realizing. Like, you hear about it, and you hear people say, kind of old ways creeping back in, and it didn't really creep back in. It just kind of kicked the door open, like, hey, what's up? And that was the scariest part to me, is that literally, legitimately, it just snaps right back, and it takes a while to get back out of it again. But I mean, the work is worth doing to get you back out, just like it was worth doing the first time. But at least this time we have tools, and we've built things and grabbed things along the way that will make it easier this time than it was last time. But the steps are still the same. Like, you're still going to have to take those steps to get back out of it. But this time we'll recognize it a little quicker.
Right. And the saying that my dad or my family always says is like, when you try to do something new, or you're committed to it, and then you realize you're in the exact same place, right? The kind of line is always like, well, how'd that work out for you? Well, it didn't, right? It didn't work out for me. And when we look around at our lives, we have to take stock of, what have I tried? And if accepting ourselves and practicing self-love is something we have never tried before, that's probably the thing that we need to do. Right?
I agree.
It's the one thing. So, okay. So to kind of wrap the conversation back to the goal, which is helping people find self-love, to progress towards self-love. What is kind of like your big things that you would encourage people to do or try or think when they are attempting to get to this place of self-love? Maddie, we'll start with you, then we'll go to Jason, and then Rodolfo, we'll wrap up with you.
I feel like for me, I always felt like I was kind of chasing something, and once you find it, you'll know. And for me, it was like, I always felt like once I had lost the weight, I'll be able to love myself. Once I make it as a nurse, I'll be able to find myself. Once I finally have the surgery, I'll be able to love myself. And there I was at the lowest weight I had ever been, back into this all or nothing mindset. And I still hadn't found it. And it really took like doing the work of weight loss surgery, as April likes to say. It really is work. And once I really had just accepted myself for who I was, I was able to start loving myself for who I am and what I am.
And what I absolutely love about what you said, Maddie, is that it is so much work to just get to the acceptance part. Mm-hmm. Right. And we're always trying to explain to people, what is the work of weight loss surgery? It's exactly that. It is just getting to the point where you can look at yourself in the mirror and not judge. Mm-hmm. Right. Or look at yourself in the mirror and go, this is where I am today. It doesn't mean that we don't have to be happy with it. It doesn't mean that we can't work towards making changes to it. It's just simply getting to the point where it's saying, this is who I am. This is what I look like.
Mm-hmm. I barely even look at my body in the mirror anymore. It just is a body, and that's just it. And it's my body, and it does amazing things for me.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. So powerful. Jason, my friend, what about you?
Yeah, a lot of like what Maddie said. I mean, you have to start with where you're at right now. You can't think about where you've come, where you were. Can't think about where you want to be, because right now is what matters. Like, you can think about how far you've come in relation, but who and where you are right now is your starting point. From today forward, it's all about how are you going to take the next step to make yourself better than you were the day before. So you're an amazing friend. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing dad. You're an amazing brother, sister, cousins. It doesn't matter what it is. You're killing it in that form. Whatever your form is today, you're doing the best that you can do. And that's all anybody could ever ask of you. They love you for you, not for what you can do for them, not for what you provide for them. They love you for being you. So it's time that you also start loving you for being you. because those people wouldn't love you if you weren't a lovable person. That's not something that we like to hear, because we don't like that, because we're not worthy of any of that. People only like us because of, of what we can do for them, our connections, whatever that may be, the lies we tell ourselves that nobody could possibly, love us if it was just for us. But you're still here. You're still standing. You fought to get where you are. You have fought a war within yourself, within the world, within the confines of a body that you couldn't stand to get to where you are today. So now you have to respect the body that got you this far. You've done the work, you've had the surgery, you've done all the things, or you're post-op, you're getting ready to have the surgery. All of these things matter in this war that you are fighting. So now that you have gotten as far as you have, it's about accepting, loving what you have going on for you right now, if you want to make that better. If you're at a point where you can just accept and love where you are and you're good, then that's what you need to start working on. Because at the end of the day, you have to love yourself holistically before you can expect anyone else to love you in that same way. Just just the unaccepted, just whatever the hell it is, for all of that to return to you, you're going to have to love yourself like that. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy, this whole battle. But we were strong enough to get as far as we've got. And that's saying a lot.
All I was thinking about, Jason, as you were talking, is just thinking like, really, that getting to that place of acceptance and self-love really does become an armor for the people that are going to come at us that don't love us for who we are. And we all probably have somebody in our life that is not a good person, but we've been so afraid to let that person go because we weren't really sure who we were. We didn't know what our purpose was. We didn't love ourselves. We didn't accept ourselves. But if we can get to that place where we at least accept ourselves, then we can let those people go. Because
the sad part is that person has probably been around a very long time, or their family, or they're very close to you, and they feel like they've earned the right to treat you that way. But you don't deserve to be treated that way. You don't deserve to continue to let that person do that. And there will come a time where you decide, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that. People always like to say, well, it's too hard because they're so close, or they're this, or their family, or they're that, and I can't just tell them to go away. They've been around for 20 years. My kids think they're like their aunt or uncle or whatever. At the end of the day, if it does not serve you in the way you need to be served, it's not for you moving forward.
Oh my God. I think my brain's leaking out of my ears. Rodolfo, what is your suggestion? How can we get there?
Okay, so I was thinking, and my suggestion is to connect with emotions, because I think that emotions are great indicators of self-love. Typically, when we don't feel good, when we feel, I don't know, angry, mad, sad, like with anxiety or any negative emotion, we're having a negative self-talk. So I think that the emotion could be like a good sign, an alert sign that can support us to analyze our inner dialogue. So why I'm telling about myself, I'm telling that my body is not perfect. And then after noticing that belief, what I can do is doubt the belief. So is my body not perfect? What's happening? What's really happening? Because maybe I'm judging my body because the market sells a standard, and I'm thinking and telling myself that I'm not perfect, when in reality, perfection doesn't exist. And maybe this analysis requires a high level of awareness, but my invitation is to just start analyzing your thoughts. That's the invitation. That is like the first step. Like, if you don't feel good in different aspects of your life, if you don't feel good, what's your inner dialogue? What are you telling about yourself? If you, for example, feel that you're not having a great performance at your job and you're judging that, practice, for example, self-compassion. self-compassion always feels great. Like understanding that we did the best we could, given our awareness level, that always feels good. When we are not loving ourselves, we can be harsh, we can judge, we can like harm us. So emotion is going to be a light that is going to show us that we're doing that.
And I think as bariatric patients for so long, we ignored, we pushed down, we did not acknowledge our emotions. And part of this work of weight loss surgery is just taking a hot minute to ask ourselves, what am I feeling? And if you don't have the words yet, if you don't know what your emotion is, that's okay. You can just start by saying, well, I'm feeling this, or I'm angry, or my chest is tight, or I just, I want to scream. That's where you start. Right? It's
connecting with the body.
Yes.
Connecting with the body and just like identifying. That's the beginning. Yes. Like emotions are physical reactions. So maybe I'm experiencing, I don't know, a burden here over my back, a pressure in my chest, something weird in my stomach. And that's a good beginning. But if it doesn't feel good, typically it's because there's negative self-talk around it.
Yes. Right. And getting to that place of acceptance is just being okay with what's going on, identifying where we're at, taking a minute to connect with ourselves. Right. And the magic statement for me is always like, is that true? Like if somebody comes at me with something, if I have this emotion, no doubt. Yeah. Right.
Doubt your thoughts, because they are not right. They are not the truth,
No. No. Oh my gosh, friends, this conversation, I feel like this will be absolutely one that I listen to over and over again. There's so much here. Self-love is such an important tool that we can use in our toolbox, and it's one of the hardest ones to acquire. But I know, Maddie, you are a shining example of why this work is worth it, because we can get to a place where we accept and we even start to love ourselves. It's possible. You are the living example of that.
It is possible. I never thought I'd be the living example of it, but I'm happy, and I'm so happy to be. That makes me so happy. I promise it works.
It does. And I know, Rodolfo, you're the same. You are a living example of this. You came from a place where you did not love and accept yourself, and now you're like a pillar of the community that's helping everybody get to the point where they do. So clearly, you guys are both examples. It can't be done.
And I wanted to add something. Can I?
Yes.
That there's always a next level. And you can identify like how you're judging yourself. And with that, you can like keep growing. We always grow. That's the point. And that's life too. It's never going to end, because I think that there's this like fake thought about like being happy, right? So I'm going to be happy. I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to embrace myself like 100%. And no, maybe you're going to like love yourself instead of a 50%, an 80%. But you can always learn more about yourself, because there are things that we can't see about us.
Well, and as we grow, we discover more of our purpose. We discover more, and this, right, especially as bariatric patients, as the weight releases, right, we realize, oh my gosh, there's so much more of me to give and to discover, and we just get to continue to grow and grow into our purpose and the person that we want to become. So,
exactly.
Oh my gosh, oh, you guys, this was an amazing conversation. If people would like to follow you, where can they do so? Maddie, let's start with you. Where can people find you in the world?
In the world, you can find me on Instagram at Maddie5088. And I also have a website. It is foodfitnessandbeauty.com.
And you can also find her in the Bari Nation universe, because she is a creator for us and hosts some amazing events there.
Yes.
Rodolfo, my friend, what about you?
Oh, yes. People can find me on Instagram. My account is Rodolfo Alvarez X. That's my account. And I have a website too, that is rodolfoalvarez.com. And at Bari Nation too, because I'm teaching classes. So
It's like the best of both. It's the best of both worlds. And the other thing I'll let you guys know too, we will link all of their social medias and their websites in the show notes. So I highly encourage you to go to both of theirs. Maddie's website is amazing. You guys, her recipes are absolutely spot on. She's got a lot of stuff on her website. Her blog is fire. Definitely subscribe. And Rodolfo is accepting one-on-one clients, you guys. And let me tell you, from personal experience, He is amazing. He is that if you watch the show Billions, he is that woman who like helps him unpack it all. That's the best way that I can describe it. You're a freaking wizard genius. Yes, wizard genius. Absolutely amazing. All right, you guys. Well, yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy days to join us. This conversation was meaningful and important, and we know it's going to have a huge impact on everybody who listens or watches. So thank you both.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will just let you know, if you're looking for added layers of support, consider becoming a member of Bari Nation. Like I said, Maddie and Rodolfo both are experts in there. The classes, the supports, the community, the connection is above and beyond even our wildest dreams. So if you'd like to know more about it, visit barination.com, or you can, of course, direct message us. We are the human faces behind our Instagram account and our email, and we would be thrilled to connect with you. Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
I do. Thank you both for joining us. We love spending time with you always, Maddie. Rodolfo, you have been, your insights and wisdom are amazing, and we thank you so much for your time. And we thank the community as well. We could not do what we do without you guys helping us. You help us just as much as we ever help you in in our growth and our journeys. So we thank you for that. We also appreciate you always liking, sharing, subscribing, spreading by word of mouth, helping us to grow organically, because that is one of the best and brightest things about the Bari Nation community as a whole. Is we grow, everything we've done is organic. So we appreciate that because of your help. You can also continue to like, you can send us ratings on our YouTube channel. You can also rate your favorite podcast player. You can leave us voice messages in Anchor, which we can then incorporate into future episodes of the podcast, which are awesome. We love sharing and spotlighting the community. So we appreciate you for that as well. And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.